Start recording today lab here. So yeah, today we want to start using automatic rigging tools. For that, let me just bring the file that you have also maybe downloaded from the assignment description. It's just a very low poly model. And by the way, I think I have mentioned it, but yeah, here you can see, if you want to see something like this, go to heads up display, heads up display, and then polygons. It will show you uh, the faces and the triangles in your scene, and it will also, if you select an object, it will show the number of faces and triangles on that object, and if you select a few, let's say faces, say these ones, it will show you the number of faces and triangles there as well. So that's a very good thing to do. Also, one more thing, let's say if you wanted to make a UV for this model, you would have to kind of think of where to, let's say, put a cut on your model. So I would recommend you to go and look at other models. But for example, for the head, we just start from a part and then did a cut, because when you want to project a sphere on the let's say on the plane, it wouldn't fit, and you have to cut it from somewhere to preserve the scales. So that's important. And whenever you think that you are kind of messing things up, maybe it's better to uh, consider cutting it from let's say from a set of edges, and that's kind of easy. If you, yeah, I think you can do it yourself, but if you have any question, we can discuss it in the office. I think it's better, because today maybe it's better to focus more on rigging. Any question, any problem? Have you all imported the object into your Maya? Okay, so it seems everyone is okay. And if you go to the rigging menu from here, rigging shelf from here, you will see the human IK icon here. Just click on it. So rigging and then human IK icon. And here you will see a few options, and I'm going to go with a create a skeleton. You will see it gives you a skeleton which is a little bigger than what we want, and I'm going to play with the numbers here to make it fit, something like that. And if you remember, when we wanted to, for example, uh, see the rigs from the character, we would just assign the character mesh to a layer and then make it transparent, or I think we could also completely make it disappear as well. Or alternatively, I think that you can use H key to disappear an object. Yeah, make it completely invisible. But remove selected object. There is also another way. Let me remove this layer. Yeah, so again, we don't see the bones inside of our mesh. You can go to shading and then X-ray joints. Now you will start to see the joints through your model, but you should do the same on all the, let's say, views. It's not going to be uh, happen, and when you select it, it just happens in one scene. I mean, let's say in one view, and all others are not affected. Yeah, so if you want, and if you prefer to have something like this, not a transparent view, that's also another solution. And before going forward and setting our rig based on our character, there is one thing to see. First of all, there are some options here. For example, you can have two joints for the neck. You can have either 0 or more than one, or even one joints for the uh, let's say for the clavicle. But yeah, it depends on what you want to do. I think overall the normal one is okay, but if you want to do something different, then you should do it. Also, if you remember, I said that when you want to uh, have some more details on your foot, you should also go with adding toes. And usually when you don't have a shoe that covers all the foot, you need to have the toe bones, but otherwise it's not actually really helpful. And there's also roll bones, and that's because when you kind of rotate your wrist, but keep your let's say keep your elbow constant. I mean you don't move it, but you rotate your wrist. This happens with the two bones that you have. You can go with them if you want, but for simplicity we just ignore them for now and go with the simplest, let's say, setting. Any question? Okay, and if you remember, we had problem with setting the rotation. It wasn't really easy. We had to set all the rotation of the joints, and actually for this, let's say, set of joints, it is already set. But when you rotate them, actually when you move the joints, those will be changed. So let's see what happens here. So where is it? Yeah, I forgot. So select hierarchy and then display, transform display, local rotation axis. Okay, and here you will see they have gone with having the let's say the child joint parent of the I mean the yeah the having the, let's say, the vector from parent to the child exactly aligned with the x-axis, but here for the right arm you will see that it is just the opposite way. So it depends. You may want to the z go in the other and x go to the left, so that the childs are the parent of our childs are exactly aligned with the x-axis. Or you may want to have something like this and try to match it with the word. If you look at the word coordinates z, y, x, and that's exactly z, y, x. So yeah, usually I think characters are not exactly like this, but sometimes that's the case as well. So it depends actually, but that's not really important, especially when you want to do the uh, animations yourself. You just need to align them with some, let's say, axis, and then after that you will be hopefully able to do whatever you want. Yeah. Okay, so there is one good option here that will help us. Where is that? Yeah, here. In the future, it says mirror left to right, and left is not our left, it's the character's left. So this is the left part, and it will mirror it to the right part. So that's the old problem of my left or your left. But yeah, it's just the character's left, not our or the camera's left. Uh, yeah, so let's just start with it, and I will try to let's see the tool settings. I'm going to go with the object because I want to try not to let's say change the position of the joints, because if you do that you will see uh, the, let's say, the uh, vectors just get destroyed. You can also change the position and then set the rotations. That's up to you, because if you I mean I think you saw it, but if I just move it down, you will see that then the X is not going to face the shoulder anymore. But yeah, let's just go with rotating it. Again, as I said, you may prefer to go with changing the position. That's completely okay. It depends on what you want to do. And the tool setting object, I think you know it, but if you go to the word, it will just give you the right, change the object. It just gives you the axis in the world coordinate. But because we want to rotate everything around the objects, I mean around each joint's axis, we're going to select the object as the axis of orientation. Okay, that's really hard because I'm kind of selecting the mesh so much, so I'm going to set a uh, set a, let's say, layer for it, and I hope I can make it in a way that I cannot select anymore. Yeah, I cannot select anymore, that's great. But now I can select my joints better. Okay, I hope that I can finish it on time, because I want to give you more time to put it on your assignment, on your project. So yeah, I will try to finish it as soon as I can. And then I'm going to rotate the, oh, we were still in the board. Okay, so let me do it again. That's important because you may mess it up. Just make sure that you are always changing things in the object, let's say orientation or coordinate frame, if you don't want to uh, change everything again and set the rotations again. And you know, setting the rotations may not be really important for now, but when you want to try to, let's say, start animating things, you may really need them, so that's important. Okay, and if I'm not happy, let's say the position of my joint, I can move it along the x-axis to make it nearer, move it closer, let's say, to the elbow. But when I want to, let's say, put it just a little upper, I would just rotate the elbow instead of setting the position of the wrist. Now we have the wrist, but here the base of the fingers, because the rotation is not set based on them, I'm just going to move them, because as you know, when you have more than one children for each on one joint, then the rotation is just going to move all of them, but you want to set each one separately. So I'm going to put it somewhere like here, and then from here again we want to rotate things, but that's maybe a little hard. You should put some time on it and be patient in order to set it as you want. Um, oh yeah, so I think that could be okay, maybe. Yeah, that seems okay to me at least. But for, let's say, if you want to put it a little into your model, you can wait a step. Let's say something like this, for example, or maybe going to this bone and then going like this. And again, if you want to, let's say, put it exactly into the, I mean, at the top to at the, let's say, end of your finger, you can just move it along the x-axis. There's also one thing, if you want, I mean, if you prefer to move the objects because it's a little faster, but you don't want to, let's say, move the wrist or the shoulder, just want to move the elbow. Let's say you want to put it 10 centimeters upper. You just need to uh, select, I mean, use the D key on your keyboard, and then when you move it, it will not affect any other joints. So that's one thing that could be helpful for you if you want to move the joints. So again, I'm going to set the base of my finger and a little upper. Yeah, I think maybe it's a bit better to move the other one a little bit closer, but maybe rotate them a bit. You can also use the top view, or I don't know, the, let's say, the front view to set it better. Maybe from, for example, here you can see things better if you want. That's also possible. But here, because we are in the A pose instead of the T pose, that's a little hard to see it. But on the T pose, because everything is kind of uh, perpendicular to sorry, everything is a kind of parallel to the XZ plane. Yeah, you can do it a little easier, but yeah, it still depends on how you are going to do it. what's your actually what's your character's position, which here it is A pose, and little, oh yeah, I've put it completely wrong, it should be here somewhere, if I remember it, yeah, somewhere like here for example. And then this one here, now I'm going to rotate these joints and then move the other one a little back and move this one a little forward. Also I'm going to rotate it to fit the overall finger, or maybe we could rotate it from here. That's better if you can try not to change the overall structure of your bones too much, but again it depends. And also I'm going to, because these aces are kind of hard, make things hard to be seen. I'm going to select all of them, the hierarchy, and then display, because I think that is a lot easier, at least for me to see things. Okay. Yeah, let's just set its position as well. For example, I think from the other side it should be a little easier maybe. I'm just trying to show you that everything is possible based on what you want. You can do whatever you need to do. Actually, yeah, it's just maybe I should move it a little back. Till forwards, okay. Now let's just rotate it a bit. You know, that's unfortunately really time consuming. You should be patient and try to move the joints in a way that they match uh, your character's pose. Okay. Uh, so we are kind of finishing the hardest parts. So that's one good news at least. Okay, now let's just rotate it a bit. I'm happy with the position of that, maybe until, yeah, again you can set the rotation of the joints after you set these things. It just depends on what you want to do, and what you want, what you find to be easier. Actually, you may find it easier to set the position of the joints and then set their rotation. Okay. Okay, so now as you see, I'm not moving the things, let's say these things, along the Z or along the Y, because that would mess the these, let's say these joints rotation. So I prefer to go with the Maya's predefined rotations, and that's not really good. Okay, any question? Okay. Yeah, I think that's actually okay. And then the foot is the remaining part, shading, X-ray joints. Okay, now I can see my joints here. Let's just put the oh yeah, that was my mistake, sorry. I should always try to do the rotation thing and then move the knee a little up maybe. For example, here I could, for saving time, I could just do select D and then move my joint a little up. That would make it better. But yeah, let's just go with it. Because again, when you keep the child and parent both constant, I mean, when you don't move both of them, then the let's say the orientation of your joint would be changed, especially if those three are not collinear, or they are not near to be collinear. So then the final rotation vector would be really problematic. So that's one thing to consider. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and then let's just look it from the here, move it a bit up, and shading X-ray joints. I think that's okay. And you may also want to change the spine to make it form the let's say the back of your character to be more similar to it, but let's just go with it for now. I'm not going to change it to save some time. But you can see it's kind of curved here. You can also try to have a curved thing there as well. I mean, in your back as well, if you want, in the, let's say, spine joints. And yeah, so let's say if we are happy with it, with this one, and maybe what I can do is to change these things. I thought that maybe it's also a good exercise for now. Let me just show the display, local relation, rotation, and this one as well, local rotation axis. Okay, so as I said, it will kind of hurt the overall the D with the D. Okay, the overall uh, orientation, I mean vectors, but we will see how we fix it. We will just set it together. Maybe also move it a little bit as well, because that's not important, because that it has more than more than one children, and that's because it has 3 children. It's not important. The rotation does not make any sense, because when we move it, we just rotate all the joints together. For example, if you want, you can kind of do it like this, and then whenever you select it, it will just be in, let's say, exactly in the plane of the chest, but that's not really important. I'm going to try to fix only these two. So first one, this joint, we will go to rigging, then skin, no, skeleton, yeah, skeleton, then orient joint. So that would be X, Y, no, this would be Y, and then maybe Z, Y. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's completely bad. So skeleton, orient joint, Y, X, Y. Okay, so it should be exactly the other way. Skeleton, orient joint. So the primary axis, okay, it should be Y, but the secondary axis, when we put it as X or Z, it just goes the other way. And just uncheck this one, because we don't want to change the children of this joint. We just want to change this one's joint. I don't think that would solve the problem, because oh yeah, it solves, because I was thinking that maybe the Y goes downward, but yeah, it just solves them. Great. Actually, I have to think a lot when I want to set it, so I would rather play with the options I have. Perfect. To see if that works. Orient joint. So why it is not okay, this one. Okay, so for some reason that one minus is better, for this one plus is better. Okay, but at least we have our two joints set, and then modify, sorry, display, and some local image. Okay, now if we are happy with the left of our character, let's say, or maybe we may need to just move the neck a little bit, and then move the head to something like here, the base of the, let's say, the skull of our character. I would rather to put it somewhere like here. Yeah, so just select your whole IK, sorry, your whole rig, and then go to, where is that? Yeah, go to a skeleton and just use this option. Great, now we see our rig actually matches the whole model, and that's important to have a, I think I said that in the previous lab, but that's important to have a symmetric rig, because it really helps you to just make the left part, let's say, and then mirror it for the right part, and that would save half of your time at least. Okay, but before doing that, I just realized that maybe it's better to rotate it a bit like this, because we want it to be around the center of the palm of the feet. Okay, now I think it's better. Let me do it again. Use the mirror tool. Now it is mirrored. Any question? Do you want me to do something again? Should I go slower? Please ask. Okay, it seems you are doing okay. And we have done it before, but let's just do it again. I'm going to, that's not actually really important, but I'm going to make the character reference, which you can change it to base mesh, let's say reference, or base mesh rig reference. Okay, yeah, I'm going to select these two bows and then go to a skin and bind the skin, but I'm going to use this option to see, and maybe uh, select some better options. So I think for you it is closest distance, but this one is a little more let's say computational expensive, but just for only one time when you are actually calculating the rigs. And this dual quaternion is a little better, but I've heard that maybe it won't work for some other software. So when you're using it, just keep in mind that it may not work in the other softwares. Uh, and here max influences means how many bones, yeah, how many maximum bones are going to affect just one vertex. So you may want to change it as well. And the resolution may be, I think for you it should be 256 or 256. I would recommend you to change it to 512 or 512, because it gives you a little more resolution. And I think I forgot to talk about the voxels. Voxels are basically small cubes in your scene, and based on that you will just try to let's say fill your model with those voxels, and then based on them do the rigging. So let's see what happens and what we will get at the end. I think it is rigged. Let's see. Oh, it's not. I don't know why. Oh yeah, you shouldn't select the base mesh rig reference. You just select the heaps and then the mesh with together. And now do the rigging. I think it is rigged. And let's just go back. I think there is an option here. Yeah, colorize a skeleton. If you don't want to colorize it, just uncheck this, and then it won't colorize it for you. But it just uh, rigs it for you, but doesn't colorize it. So yeah, it's just based on what you want, and that's not really important. Yeah, I think we have done the rigging, and you see, you will always, actually, I can say you will always see these, let's say, artifacts here, these bad points after you do the rigging automatically by Maya, and that's unfortunately when we have to, yeah, I don't know why these are kind of messed up. But yeah, that's unfortunately when we have to uh, start and setting the weights for on our character for each rig. And let's just do it a little again here, and then we will and you will have time to do it uh, for the assignment yourself. Okay, so let's just go to the skin. Where is that? Yeah, paint and skin weights. And here, when you go to the tool settings, and I think I should select the rig first. Yeah, when you select your rig and go to the paint settings, paint and skin weights, I mean, you will see the option to select the character. So I select the joints, but it's not actually showing it here. I don't know why. Okay, so again, skin, paint, skin weights, and then tool settings. Okay, now it works. And if you remember, whenever you go over each joint, so first select your mesh, go to paint skin weights, and then select your and go to the tool settings and start selecting your joints. So if you just rotate the camera around your shoulder joint, you will see uh, that the shoulder is kind of having some influence here, which is maybe not really what we intended to do, because usually these parts are controlled with the spine, not with the shoulder joint. So you can go, for example, here and then replace it with something like 0.7, let's say, and I'm going to put it here and here, for example. Oh yeah, sorry, maybe it was better to go with this spine instead of the other one. Okay, so that's too much low. Yeah, this one. I want this one to have more effect on these parts, actually. So I'm going to set it here. Maybe that could go for the other joint. That's okay. Then here. So it, the Maya just normalizes the sum of the skin weights. So let's say when you say 0.7 for this joint, it will see the other joints that affect this one, and it will kind of balance them so that at the end the total of the weights for each vertex would be 1. So when I say I wanted to have the effect of, let's say, 0.7 on these faces, it means we wanted to get exactly that amount, and the other joints would get let's say 30% remaining of the joint. I'm going to use the smooth tool to make it a little bit smoother, because if you don't do it, sometimes you will see some problems, as the some, let's say, some vertices just stay somewhere and some just come. So yeah, that's a little important to do it, to have a smoother shape when you do the animations. And here we may want it to have more effects. I think you have seen it in the previous lab, so I can go a little faster here. Oh, that part should go with the color, I think. Yeah, I am kind of happy with that. Maybe a little smaller here, here, and here as well. Yeah, I think that's okay. And then I'm going to make it smoother. Make this part a little smoother, and these parts as well. Okay, and then when we go to the left shoulder, which is this joint, I'm going to again put a value of, let's say, around 0.7 on these parts. I hope at the end we see a good output. That maybe here. Yeah, it just needs some practice to get better. Okay. I'm just working with Ctrl Z and the smooth tool to make it look better. And let's see if in the here you see it just has small effects here. Maybe if you are not happy with here, you can just say replace 0 with it. Okay, oh, the opacity, I just changed opacity, sorry. The value to 0 here, and just smooth out here a bit. I think that should be okay, hopefully. Let's see what happens when we rotate this joint. Yeah, I'm going to say that's a lot better. If you remember, we had a very big, let's say, curved surface when we were moving uh, the shoulder joint. So you know, actually it's called arm, I think here. But yeah, that's not really, the names are really important. But yeah, you just need some time and maybe a little experience. You maybe need to do it a few times in order to get a good output. But generally that's it. It just needs some time. I think I have said that it is going, surely uh, the fingers need to be also tweaked. You can see it just brings the other finger with itself. So I think I can, sorry, we can do it very fast maybe, because then we want to have an animation. Maybe just this finger, and then we will stop doing it. We will leave it to you to fix these things for the assignment and for your projects. So sorry, skin, then paint and skin weights, tool settings. Where is this? Index, this one exactly. Okay. So what I'm going to do, it's almost, maybe most of the time it's better to try to set the weights for this joint instead of decreasing it. Maybe because sometimes Maya would set some random and bad numbers for the other joints, but that's up to you. You can try it and see how it works. Okay, so here I'm going to set the weights for this face. Um, so replace value. Okay, so I forgot how to make it smaller the by the mouse, but you can obviously use the uh, numbers. Hopefully, if I can find it. Where is that? I just want to make it smaller, maybe. Uh, yeah, actually I cannot find that option as well. So let's just go with it. I hope that we can fix these things. Yeah, so that's not important, but this one is important actually. This part as well. These two parts. So that's going to be for the next uh, joint, but it's just I forgot to use a smaller one. Let's say 0.7. Okay, I will also quickly search for how to make the brush smaller for you after I finish it. Yeah, and then we go to the next joint and do a bit of these things. A bit of here. I will also show you another way for doing that as well. I will just show it after I finish these things. And here at the end we are going to set it based on this one. Let me see. Okay, and you can also do the smoothing always to make sure that it just blends in correctly between the each two joints. Okay, I guess that should be fine. Let's just see how it goes. it's a lot better, but we may want, I mean, still by playing with those values it may still have some problems. Okay, and if you, oh, not this one, oh yeah, I have set it as 19. Okay, now if you go, not this one, yeah, if you go to vertices, you can select all these 4 vertices here, and then all the other 8 ones as well. Oh no, not that. So let's just go select vertices. Okay, okay, all of these, and then we go to Windows and General Editors, Component Editor. Here you will see a bunch of vertices. They have just some numbers that define which are these. And so where are they? Windows, General Editors, and I forgot, Component Editor, yeah. And there you will, if you go to the smooth skins, you will see the effects of each joint there. So we know that we are in the middle finger and we don't want any joint from the, let's say, the index or from the ring finger to affect our model. So I guess we can set 0 for all of them. Let's see if I can. But you can, obviously. Yeah, so you just put 0 and then they just all went out of the uh, equation. If you just put 0, they won't just show it anything. So then you will see it just goes. And yeah, you will see now we have only these 4, let's say, joints, and middle 1, middle 2, middle 3, and middle 4. And always in the sum of the values are 1. So if you, let's say, make something bigger, you are kind of making the other ones smaller. So that's a little important to know. And okay, let's see how it happens here. Now you see it just starts not to change it, but the only thing that changes is this vertex, because that's the one and the other one as well. These are yeah, the same between these two, so that would change a little, but at least these ones don't change at all. So that's also the mathematical way to do it instead of just playing with the brushes. And I've realized that the joint positions maybe are not really good, but you will have time to have better ones if you want. Okay, any question? Any problem, any question? Great. Again, please ask questions. That would really help me to adjust my speed and also help you more. And yeah, make sure that no one just stucks at some point. Okay, so now we want to go with defining our control rig, and let me just select this one, select the whole thing, and then create control rig. It will take some time, and before doing that, it's maybe better to save your scene. So I would say lab 1 rig character. That was also better to save a scene also after we have our rig, but we haven't bind the rig with our skin, because you may want to go back and change your rig, because it's a little hard to unbind and then bring it back. But yeah, let's just go with saving it for now. And again, let's just, I think I made something. If you just use the Control Z, it will just, I mean, you do the uh, IK thing, and then you Control Z it. It will just lock the whole character for you, and you cannot do the rig again. So you just unlock it here, and then go back to the definition and do the control rig. But here you also see some maybe say comments or warnings. So it says the right arm doesn't simply parallel to the x-axis. It kind of expects to have a T pose character, not an A pose one. But since we had this character as the beginning, we are going to go with it, and we are going to ignore this kind of error. Okay, now we have our pretty much great controls. Yeah, so you know it when, let me just go back again. You just don't need to go back. I'm just going to show it something to you, and then it'll, okay, perfect. Let's see if I can, yeah, I can rotate that. It's okay. So you know, let's say if I wanted my character to put its, let's say, hand on its foot, on its, let's say, thigh, that would be really hard. For example, I could rotate it a bit like this, and then move it there, then again move it like this, and play with the elbow to have something as you saw. But it's not going to be really good, and it's going to be really hard as well, because setting all these joints correctly is a big, let's say, thing to do, and having them naturally is also really hard. uh, and there's also one thing to consider. If you want to go back to the position that you binded your character, you just need to go to skin, go to bind pose, so just get back to where you binded your rig with your character. So that's also helpful if you want to do it. I hope that doesn't, okay, great. Let me just do the IK again. Okay, why it doesn't let me, okay, exact. Now I have my control rigs. Any question up until now? Okay, yeah, so if you just select this, uh, let me just do this one, the human IK. No, I wanted to make it like that I cannot select anymore. Okay, now let's say you want your character to sit somewhere. You just simply, oh, not this way, you just simply put it here. Now you see it just sits really good. So I think you saw how to do animation. You just, for example, need to set a key here by the S key, and then you go, for example, to the frame 20 or whatever frame you want, and move it to somewhere like here and set a key there. So you will see a great sitting animation that if you wanted to do it uh, in the forward kinematic way, that was, I mean, believe me, that would be really hard to set the foot to stay there. So they would definitely move. They would, I mean, go around the floor, and you couldn't set them static here. You could try to, I mean, put them here, but still that would move a little. So, but by having these controls, that would really help you to get natural motions. And let's say if I want my hand to why it doesn't move, let's see. Okay, for example, I think, let's see, the maybe I'm doing something wrong, I'm not sure. So we have control over these and this one, okay, but why we don't have control over this one? That's perfect. So there is an option somewhere, controls here, that we can set it. Yeah, so if let's see, I keep pull, what would happen? Okay, so that's it. Yeah, so if you set this blend T and blend R, you will be able to set the yeah, for example, sometimes you may not want to blend the rotation. You just, for example, want to blend the transformation, the position. You just, for example, let's say I want my hand to, okay, perfect. Wait, you don't come here. Wait, that really sometimes plays with me. Okay, now for example here, and then I can simply rotate my hand and bring it down. So you see, it just feels a lot better and is a lot simpler. So I just need to, for example, put it here, and then maybe set the rotation again, something like that. For example, it just puts its hand over its thigh. Yeah, so if you see that you cannot change the let's say the uh, position of your control, maybe just play with these values as well to help you. uh, let's see if I have anything to discuss here. I think if you just make these 0, let's say, and you move your let's say your heap controller, you will see this one tries to achieve the position it had, but the other one, since it's not again still controlled with the with those values, with those position and rotation, that would just come with you. So if you, for example, don't want the rotation to be there, you can just see it just the rotation does not follow, but the position still wants to be there. So yeah, that's the options there. Let me just quickly search for how to change the brush size. Any question here? Any problem? Any question? Let me see if I can fix that part. Skin, paint skin tones. There should be some option here. I remember that I had it. Yeah, I think the radius is actually what we are looking for. The outliner, let's just go with it. Then where are we on the flexing of left foot? And then the radius, where is it? Display. The, wasn't it this one, the stroke? Yeah, the radius could be, yeah, you can just play with these values. I think there was an automatic way to do it, but yeah, I don't remember that. So you can just play with these numbers if you want to have a bigger or a smaller brush based on the place that you are making changes on. Okay, what else I wanted? Yeah, there's also one thing that you may find it useful. Let's say if you just uh, play with the position of your, let's say your, okay, your, let's say your hand, which is really doing something weird here, but that's okay. And you want to go back to where you were. There was something, let me see if I can find it. I think that this one was the one I wanted. And also there is also one more thing. If you want to select the whole body, the whole thing, to do some changes, or let's say set keys for the whole body, you can select the whole body and select keys for it. But I remember there were also one, yeah, I think yeah, I remember it. Instant pose. Stance pose, if you do go to stance pose here, you will get back to where you were. So that's really also helpful if you want to get back to where you were doing. And yeah, for example, if you want to, let's say, have a, I think there that's there in one of those videos. But if you want to have a good sitting animation like this, you, for example, need to change the knees. I'm not going to set the keys. So first, you should set some keys in the first in the first frame and then do changes on the next ones, but that's okay for now. And then, for example, while you were doing, maybe you need to play with the to fit the, let's say, hands to make them more realistic. But yeah, that's going to be it. And you see, you can also change. And yeah, let's see the options here. So you see that, for example, the head, it just, you don't need to do anything. It just controls the whole thing and follows the whole the rotation. I mean, the rotation of the head is controlled by the position that you uh, set. And yeah, that's overall it. I think, let's say, if you want to have a good, yeah, for example, if you want to put the, let's say, the, actually I think it works. It when it was on the, so you don't need to have, I was worried that why you did need to do this, because this means that the position of the hand would stay. I mean, let's say, if let me just go back to where we were. I think that was the problem with selecting uh, the object coordinate system. So these, if I put it as, let's say, 1 here, I think what would happen is that it will try to also, yeah, you can see the left hand is kind of tries to stay there, but the right hand, it just goes because it doesn't have those values there. So yeah, actually, yeah. So what I wanted to say is that you, even you are, let's say, just put all of this to 0, 0, 0, 0, and then when you want to put it something like that, you just go to the word instead of the object, and then you should be hopefully able to uh, play with it better, have more control. Because when you are in the object coordinate system, it may be a little funky and that would be a little hard to control it. But in the object, I mean the word coordinate, it's a little easier because you just want to set the position of your, let's say, of your uh, joints. I think that would be it. And then in the next lab we will see how to uh, animate a very small, let's say, ball that bounces up and down. And after that we will go to animating a wax cycle animation. Yeah, you will see here it just tries to stay there. Yeah, so this, I mean, you just play with the values and then you'll be able to uh, solve it. And I think that would be it for this lab. Any question or problem? Okay, so I think for the assignment, it is encouraged to model the character yourself, but if you are using the ones from somewhere else, please don't use this character, use another one to have experience more with it. Yeah, so that's it. And at the end, just submit one, or let's say more if you can, images from your character and your controls, the controls you have, that you can, let's say, play with these positions and set it to some, let's say, position like this, a jump, if you can say, or a run animation, a position like that. Any question, any problem? Okay, so thank you all and see you next week. I will stay here to answer your questions, especially about the UV mapping, if you have any, and also about the rigging as well, if you need any help. But see you all in the next week and the next lab. One last thing that I forgot to say is, when you want to let's say, set some joints static, I mean it just stays there, let's say for the foot. Oh, yeah, for the foot, let's say when you move the hip, those joints would stay there and won't move at all. So when you want to do something like that, uh, you just need, let's say if I want my hand to stay there as well, just need to pin the translation, and if I want pin the rotation as well, but let's say if the translation is enough, we can just start moving our hip, and you'll see that the character will try to uh, put its hand there. And yeah, so let's say if the character wants to hold somewhere, you want it to sit, you can just do something like that.